Electrocast.
Hold on to your butts.
We are changing the course of history as we see it. That is what Wesley demands.
Now this affects Iris. Iris, where are you?
What if we're still doing this when we're 50?
I do not entertain hypotheticals. The world as it is vexing enough.
What you feel only matters to you.
Iris, I have a tip for you.
Don't take drugs!
Or whatever movies with Wesley and Iris.
What up and welcome to Space Month here at Or Whatever Movies. I'm your co-host, Iris, and I'm here with my older brother,
Wesley.
And as the resident space expert,
me,
we're going to be conducting this episode on Christopher Nolan's 2014's Interstellar interview style.
Pray tell, how will we do that?
You're the resident space expert. You're also the resident Christopher Nolan expert, and you're the one that wanted to talk Interstellar, which I had seen, but not really.
Let's go with enthusiast rather than expert.
Okay, Interstellar. So, Wes, why should we include Interstellar in Space Month at Or Whatever Movies, or orwhatevermovies.com, or wherever you get podcasts?
This is basically Martian XL. This is basically less aliens, still Project Hail Mary. This is basically Apollo 13 on steroids. Goes a little bit farther into space than Project Hail Mary. They transcend the speed of light. Conceptually, there are more planets and more stranded Matt Damons than in The Martian. They slingshot a frickin' black hole, which is a far cry from Apollo 13 slingshotting the moon or The Martian slingshotting Earth to get back up to speed to go back to Mars.
So you sent me a meme of multiple Matt Damon pictures. The meme claimed that the world has spent billions and billions of dollars saving Matt Damon. Was Interstellar included?
Yes.
For very practical purposes, our hero, Cooper, decides to save Dr. Matt because Dr. Matt's data is better than the other doctors, despite the other doctor being Dr. Brand's lover.
I don't know that they ever consummated that love, but yes, any more than he verified that data.
Who is more convincing as a scientist/astronaut? Dr. Brand or Cooper?
Which Dr. Brand?
Anne Hathaway or Matthew McConaughey?
It's an interesting question because they each approach it from a unique perspective. But Matthew McConaughey is so quietly confident and intelligent and quick that I tend to believe him more. It's like when you see scientists and they have a Southern accent, you're like, really? How do you do that? How do you balance those two things? When Coop talks, and I guess Matthew McConaughey is pretty Texas, that's Southern, right? But he obviously knows what he's talking about. He has what I like to refer to as big picture intelligence or life applicable intelligence or scientific knowledge where he's not just book learned. He can apply all of these concepts to his own life. And when he's forced to leave, or when he chooses to leave Murph, he's still talking in grand ideas. Maybe when we gonna get back, we'll be the same age. What? Crazy or whatever. And he understands what he's talking about and how it will affect his life and its real application of these concepts to his emotional life, kind of in the same way that Christopher Nolan's very techie movie in this case is about love and about life and about family as much as it is about space exploration, I guess. I'm not sure they are exploring other planets. Does The Martian on Mars and going to Miller's planet, going to Epstein's planet, not Epstein. What was his name? Where Brand wants to go?
Edmonds?
Thank you. Going to planets, exploring space. Does that make it a space movie?
Explorer implies more leisurely, for research purposes, missions, whereas this is life or death, like we need to find Earth's lifeboat.
I'm saying for Space Month, we spend an awful lot of time on planets.
Oh, like versus in space. This is all about space. What are you talking about?
There's a lot of space. And Apollo 13 takes place almost entirely in space, for the purposes of the movie.
Yeah.
But it's like backyard space between here and the moon.
Backyard space.
The moon is still literally part of Earth.
It actually literally is not, but I understand what you're saying.
It is.
And Anne Hathaway?
I think she is more bound by her emotions. She has her dad in Dr. Brand, but he came across more science-y. That probably sounds dumb to say.
But fair. She and Wes Bentley are like at the table, and then the next thing we see is them in their what are the spacewalking suits?
Well, so we talked about this in The Martian. The EVA suits, the distinction between their flight suits and their space suits is the space suits are pressurized. They're pressure suits.
Okay. The next thing we see is them in the spacesuits, the little helmets and stuff. And I'm just like, whoa, that was a leap. Because in Apollo 13, there's all this getting geared up and all these people are helping them. And in Top Gun Maverick, they're all grave when they're setting out for their mission and everything. Christopher Nolan doesn't get all mushy about that kind of stuff. He's like, all right, next thing we know, we're on the mission.
We're not calling this Mission Control. This movie's not called NASA. It's Interstellar. Let's get to space. This movie should have been called Leaps because we make a lot of leaps. We go from Earth to space. We go from space to black hole. We go from planet to planet. We're jumping all over the place.
We go from black hole to tesseract, but we'll get there. What is Christopher Nolan's obsession with bad female character names?
But is it that they have more masculine names, Murph and Brand?
But I'm also thinking like Maul and Ariadne from Inception. You could turn Inception and Interstellar into bad name drinking games because there's got to be an internet video that counts how many times Cooper says Murph in this movie.
Murph. A Murph supercut drinking game. That'd be good.
So what's the deal?
So what I noticed is that, think about this, in Tenet and Inception, there are female characters for sure, but maybe not centrally placed. This movie, and in fact all Christopher Nolan movies, despite it being kind of bro-centric, bros never really bro down. Do any two bros bro down in any of these movies? Interstellar, no exception. I think they are just androgynous characters. They could be written as male or female, I suppose, other than the fact that Brand is uniquely in love with Edmonds. But, she doesn't talk about the two of them repopulating. Any of the characters could be male or female. Maybe what is perceived as maybe weakness or bad female names is just opening up the possibility that these characters are kind of sexless.
Is Jessica Chastain's Murph married to Topher Grace's character?
I think they're just broing down. I think they're just bedding down. It's not, because there's not a lot of romance in there. But yeah, he's her partner in life and at NASA, I guess, because he works there. Well,
because she gives him the big smooch.
Yep.
But then she's obviously got like a brood of grandkids.
I guess in the same way, the female characters play an important role, but the dudes, not really so much. When Wes Bentley dies, we don't even really register it. He gets washed away on Miller's planet. That's where we leave him.
Yeah.
Other dude, they leave him for 23 years, and he's like in his robe and like all quiet. After that, he dies, and we don't even really register it.
Oh, really? How does he die?
I know that he died, and they said Tars, I think, or Case says that he didn't make it. I don't even remember his name. Casey Affleck is the brother. And he's like, gotta get back to Murph, and hey, Murph, and what happened to the brother? What's the brother's name? No idea.
Romilly and Tom.
If Topher Grace helped Murph populate Cooper Station, we don't know what happened to him. We don't really care.
Well, there's a lot of people. What happens to Donald, the John Lithgow character?
Yeah, well, they said he died or whatever when Grandpa died.
Wasn't Casey Affleck's Tom a Cooper? So what is his son Cooper?
That's an interesting question. I guess so. Do you know that Matthew McConaughey's name is Joe? He's Joe Cooper.
That is what a British man names an all-American dude. Joe Cooper.
Oh, man.
That's like Special Agent Mark Cooper, the scam artist who tried to scam me with the American Express illegal gun routine. Anyway, what type of contraption are Tars and Case? And I think there was another couple of these guys. What are they?
They're robots. They're not androids because androids are human-shaped. I mean, in some cases, you can say that, he has arms, obviously, when he's carrying Anne Hathaway through the water on Miller's planet, but they're not human, man-shaped.
They've got little fingers. They can take the joystick.
It's like saying that Rocky in Project Hail Mary is anthropomorphized.
So are those entirely of Christopher Nolan's invention?
Don't know. They're cool, though. They're very sleek. They stack nicely.
They seem impractical, and they also seem Transformer-like in the sense that I don't really believe that they can do all the things that they can do.
It's pretty awesome. When we were in the theater for Terminator 2, Judgment Day in 1991, and Arnold throws the T-1000 up against the wall, and it morphs so that it was facing one way and then it's suddenly facing the other way without having to awkwardly turn around, we all went, whoa! So when Tars and Case do their thing and they kind of change and manipulate in certain ways, I was equally impressed. Like when he's like, Tars, go get her. And she's way out there dicking around with Miller's transponder or whatever. He like does that cartwheel thing and goes flying after her, Red Hot Chili Peppers style. It's awesome.
I remembered enough of Interstellar to know that the mountains were not mountains.
Yeah.
Would you say that that is the key action sequence of Interstellar?
I think it's the most memorable scene. I think, and a great, maybe one of the most tense scenes in movie history. Does anybody, if you think about Interstellar, does anybody not automatically remember Miller's planet? I think it's the centerpiece of the movie as far as tension is. And the idea that we are somewhere where we don't belong, because how could you live there? How could... and the time slippage is dramatic. And the waves for that much water over the surface are miles high. And you're like, what? It was crazy.
Can you remember how you felt that first time? Or did you feel that in this 5th, 6th, 7th viewing?
When they're talking and they don't know, when they touch down, he's like, what are you waiting for? Go, 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 go. Like 7 years per hour here, people. Let's make it count. I'm like, yeah. And I'm pretty sure that I was gripping my seat and being like, how are you guys not moving and talking? Guys, let's multitask here. Get stuff done. So I felt the tension and the pressure and the drama from
ticking clock.
Oh, the ticking clock. And you know that tick is an Earth day, which wasn't explicit, but somebody worked it out.
Oh.
1.2
math.
seconds. Every tick is an Earth day. And they were there for literally hours. Not sure how that was how effectively that was communicated, but they were basically there waiting for the engines to slowly drain for 3 hours before he was like, I'm going to blow them out, and like goes whoosh and expedites the process. Man.
So were you tracking the relativity? Relativity plays a major role in this story. Were you tracking the time slippage, as you called it, and all of the relativity, gravity, black hole-y stuff?
As much as I possibly could. Short answer, yes. Very much.
And the aliens are us?
The aliens are us, way down the line. Super hyper advanced. Realizing that they can expand their consciousness to include 2 extra dimensions.
Is this story taking place in the past?
No, it's taking place in the pretty far advanced future. I think even the initial stage is like 2080 or 2080, somewhere in the future. And then by the time Cooper returns and they're on Cooper Station, it's like 2158 or something.
I don't understand. This is the whole time travel conundrum. How are we saving the world now when obviously the world has been saved so that humanity could advance, so that humanity could then send back messages to save humanity?
Question does not register. Please repeat. How is it in the past?
Because humans have evolved and therefore have survived. The alien humans that create the tesseract so that Cooper can send his message to young Murph. See, this is Christopher Nolan. I'm resisting, but it's necessary to be able to even talk about this story, is to like go into the Christopher Nolan-ness of this.
we see glimpses of a projected far-off future where they in turn leave remnants of themselves, or I guess inside the black hole, time is so relative it doesn't even matter. He is looking into the past, which is, as film goers, our future, using constructs, fifth dimensional constructs or three-dimensional constructs in their fifth dimensional world so that we can understand it for a future that's 150 years or whatever ahead for us. But I think that it's necessary because we travel all over the place into other stellar spheres or whatever, that we focus, as Christopher Nolan ultimately does, on humans and on family, and on Cooper's family in particular, the relationship between a father and a daughter. And as far away as he goes, it never really transcends that. I mean, across her entire life, there's this tenuous connection that he fights to maintain or whatever. And I don't know how spacey Interstellar ultimately is. Yeah, they go farther, but all the stars look the same out there. And can you really see a black hole? It's super black, and the gravitational pull is so strong that it even sucks in all the light, but not the halo around the thing. That's super bright. It's maybe brightest in space around the blackest hole. How far do you need to extend yourself into Christopher Nolan's concepts for Interstellar?
I think pretty farther than in normal everyday life. I mean, this is Christopher Nolan's jam. He plays with time and space in Memento, in Inception, in Tenet, in Interstellar. Time is space in Interstellar, so I guess it is spacey, but it is more family-oriented in a way that I think actually makes Interstellar unique. I wouldn't say that Inception, and especially not Tenet, is overtly family-oriented. I mean, Interstellar goes so far as to have Cooper's character say, "Love, it's love, Tars."
That was actually a pretty good Matthew McConaughey impression.
Which brings me to some IMDb user reviews. It's a little earlier in the episode than we usually do these, but I'm very curious because the reviews are perhaps not surprisingly high, but what's surprising to me is the curve. You know, oftentimes I would find a movie like Interstellar to be polarizing, where there's lots of 1-star ratings and lots of 10-star ratings, and then some kind of pattern in between. But Interstellar's curve is surprisingly smooth, like almost 0 1 through 4-star ratings. And then from 5, it slowly slopes up until the highest average of 10. It surprises me that Interstellar pleases audiences because it does require you to lean forward in order to even understand the story, in order to enjoy the human element of it. This is not a washer.
No, we're supposed to be in the driver's seat paying attention. There's no autopilot.
So then what do you think of 10 stars, the best film I've ever seen?
Like any Christopher Nolan movie, you really want it to be the best movie experience ever. I'm happy that that person found the gratification that they were seeking in going to a Christopher Nolan movie. It's not a guarantee, and it really hasn't ever been when you think about it. So if they got exactly the experience they were looking for, I'm happy for them. I'm pretty sure that's a minority position.
What about this? 10 stars, 7 years later, and it still totally gets me.
I'm guessing that's from an emotional perspective. I saw one that said, "I cry every time." Does people on screen make you cry? Because Matthew McConaughey cries, Brand cries, Coop cries, Murph cries. Pretty much all the main characters cry. And when Matt Damon cries, man. And so...
Oh, Matt Damon. Never a more detestable Matt Damon character. Ugh. Don't you want to smack him?
I mean, what about as...
I don't condone physical violence, but...
I mean, he was Loki in Dogma. He murdered people in cold blood. Anyway, the emotional component is, I mean, are you crying because of the vastness of space or because of its adherence to scientific properties or what?
I think we cry at the impersonal inevitability of time. When Cooper is watching the 20 plus odd years that passed on Earth, when he was dicking around on that water planet, oh, that's rough, dude.
He was the only one keeping them together. He was the least. He was dicking the least.
Well, he had the lead. It's because he actually had something to go back for. What did Matt Damon's doctor character have to go back for? What was the grand plan? He was going to steal the ship and then do what? Go back to dead Earth?
He was going to sabotage the mission. He can make up whatever narrative he wants, that Cooper died, that Brand died saving him, and he was able to salvage their ship in return. And he sabotaged Kip, his robot, to blow up and was going to kill them, and something went wrong, and I was able to take the ship and return home. God bless them and thank you for your sacrifice. And unfortunately, I returned home. But was he going to say that his planet was habitable? Or was he going to say that was a wash? Because all the data that he transmitted said, this is the place, come check it out.
Yeah, he might have kept up the ruse. What did he have to lose? He was going to go back to a dying Earth and die.
He was one of those people who needed people, which makes him unfit for interstellar travel or whatever, space travel in general. And sorry, fine. You do whatever you do. He wasn't the right person for that mission. It was really hard to sympathize with his position. I get it on a base level. Like he got there and he was lonely and didn't realize the enormity of his sacrifice. And if his world wasn't the habitable one and he told everyone so, then he would be left to die. So he falsified the information, but he was so despicable and so hunched over and racked with this idea, this weakling notion of guilt and overcome by his loneliness, that it was kind of hard to sympathize with him.
You mean he was so pathetic? He was beyond sympathy?
He was ratty and wormy, and I was never like, oh, I can understand man's position.
He was such a coward. He was like, I thought I could watch you die, but I can't. I can't even watch you die. And he slinks away.
Listen to my voice. He's talking the whole time or whatever.
Ew. What about this? Okay, last one. They don't even give it a star rating because the blurb stands for itself. Possibly the best movie of all time.
Oh, okay, fine. This movie accomplishes a lot. I think we go farther. I think we experience more dilation than any movie in history and still come back. And those consequences, if you're out in space and you're doing your thing and it's like, we're going to lose 50 years this slingshot mission, or I can't really do McConaughey's accent or whatever, but it's all relative. It's only if he actually makes it back. It doesn't matter how much time they waste on Miller's planet. It doesn't matter how much time they spend slingshotting the black hole, Gargantua. If they never make it back, it's fine. But these are all human, geocentric, Earth-based kind of consequences that only really matter if you're coming home.
Well, TARS or CASE or whatever, they transmit the data in advance of Cooper's return. Cooper's return is only of emotional significance.
Yeah, nobody even really, they turn to see him when he goes in the room, but I'm not sure that anyone except for Murph knows who he is, that he is the Cooper.
It would have been better if they didn't even realize that he was her father.
Yeah, I don't think they did, because they turned and looked at him.
No, they did. No, they said, your daughter.
Oh, you mean the people who, yeah, but when she's in the room surrounded by family, they turn and look at him. Nobody acknowledges him. They walk around or whatever. It's like he's not even there. Man, he is the ghost of his child's future.
See, that is the most Christopher Nolan thing I've ever heard you say.
That is literally what Coop says. Your mom said something to me. I didn't know what it meant at the time, but I think I know now. Well, once your children are born, you exist only as the ghost of your child's future. And that probably doesn't make a lot of sense until he actually becomes that ghost in the tesseract and ultimately in her room, where he's surrounded by family who have no clue who he is, the significance of that they are all part of his lineage, I suppose, by marriage or by blood. And nobody understands the significance of that person except for Murph, which I think is kind of the point of Interstellar. It's this one tiny relationship, as all movies of this type tend to be, and it's really not about jumping between dimensions or going through a black hole. Do you know how long it would take to orbit a black hole, even in slingshot speed?
Christopher Nolan can tell you.
It doesn't matter. Do you know what's in? Neil deGrasse Tyson was talking about how you'd just be like totally spaghettied. You'd be pulled apart and you wouldn't even know it because your eyes don't work. Nothing works. You can't, even if your eyes could withstand the gravity, which they couldn't possibly do, you wouldn't be able to see the light. The light The photons aren't able to escape the gravitational pull of a black hole. He goes into it and he's like, whoa, whoa, and he's breathing a little bit funny, but he's looking down at his feet and it's fine. Right? And we're in the interdimensional fifth dimensional library, and he's plucking the guitar strings of the gravity or the light of the books or whatever. And you're like, oh, okay. But it's all in service of a very emotional human style plot. And I think I was expecting not a gentle slope, but rather drastic polarized reviews. Either 1 star or 10 stars. I didn't get it. It was dumb. The aliens were humans, stupid, or the most profound, emotionally engaging cinematic experience of mine or any of our lifetimes. Right, is kind of what I expected. I remember Kelly initially said in 2014, this is early in our relationship, seeing this movie, said she didn't like how the tesseract was constructed, that this was the visual representation of time and how he could manipulate it via gravity or whatever. And I was like, well, at the time I defended it. How else can you do it? In a movie, how else can you portray time and looking through time, being able to manipulate time in a way that moviegoers will understand? It was by necessity. But by necessity doesn't mean that it's effective. It's how they needed to do it in the best way possible. A lot of work, a lot of time, a lot of sacrifice to get where we're going. And then ultimately, when we get to what happens in Interstellar? Oh, at the end, I don't know, there was a library inside the black hole. And you're like, what? Yeah, he goes and he talks to his daughter in the past by arranging the dust in the interstellar black hole library. And you're like, that's what? That's what it ultimately came to be.
Not only is it kind of an anticlimax and maybe visually disappointing, but it's also very talky. We get a barrage of exposition at the end of this movie, which is kind of bonkers when you think of it structurally. But you kind of have to hand it to Matthew McConaughey. If you weren't convinced with his incredible performance in Magic Mike 2 years before, or his Academy Award-winning performance in Dallas Buyers Club the year before, then I kind of think that you'd be convinced with his performance in Interstellar. Not only does he have some intensely emotional scenes, but all that dialogue and exposition that he delivers in the Tesseract is really, really, it's kind of dumb, but it's really hard dialogue to deliver, and he delivers it pretty much convincingly, wouldn't you say?
Maybe his monotone is scientific in the way he relates it, but it's still kind of drawly monotone. He's like, I'm going to come back, Murph. I'm going to come back. And he only amplifies the volume in order to get his point across. And then when he cries, it's in the same tone. He's like, no, Murph. Ah. Oh, man.
In my opinion, it seems like Interstellar is an underrated Christopher Nolan film, outshined by Inception, which really is a masterpiece, and his giant blockbuster movies like the Dark Knight trilogy and his Academy Award-winning Oppenheimer and record-smashing Odyssey. Like, Interstellar would be considered his lesser work, but is it underrated?
It's a combination. I remember watching this last viewing thinking, wait, I mistook this movie. This is a great movie. And it really is, because it adheres so faithfully. For how much they faithfully adhere to the science and the limitations of relativity and space travel. So I was like, this is awesome. It's space-based, it's space movie. And then we get to the black hole, and I'm like, oh, he kind of fumbled it a little bit there at the, whatever the football term is. He took a knee at the 50 or the 80-yard line, whatever it is. He kind of messed it up a little bit at the end. I would say that it is the quintessential Christopher Nolan movie. Big swings, maybe the biggest swing for any of his movies in terms of saving the entire planet and using the entire galaxy or universe, multiple galaxies, to get that done. And then for it to be about books and family and crying and Matthew McConaughey and Anne Hathaway For all the setup, very little payoff. He and Bran don't see each other again. He and Coop have a brief reunion, and she's like, Murph, he and Murph. And she's like, get out of here. Go hang out with Anne Hathaway. And he's like, okay. And he leaves, and he doesn't really get the glory that he deserves for transmitting to Murph the gravitational equation solving formula through space-time to allow humans to leave Earth or whatever. It's fine. It's just, it's a lot. And I don't know if it's possible for Christopher Nolan to fully deliver on his promises.
I came out of Interstellar with a new appreciation for the film and for Christopher Nolan. I always knew that he is an audacious filmmaker, but this is like sheer pomp and flex. And I would argue it does satisfy. It's awfully talky and pretty wonky visually, but it pays, all of the setup pays off in that black hole. All
That
the
would be
library mystery and the what.
It pays off? Okay. I mean, I would like to think so too. But I kind of sided with Kelly on this one that while it's the only way to do it, that doesn't mean that it's the right way to do it. I think it would be a dagger in his heart if you reduced Interstellar to say, what did you say, visually wonky? That's all he wants, is for you to be amazed by the visuals.
Maybe it was just the iPad.
Oh, man.
And that's our discussion on Interstellar from 2014, Christopher Nolan's masterpiece. Show us your ghost of your children's future tattoos, or orwhatevermovies@gmail.com. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Electricast.